Welcome to the Student Affairs One Thing New Professional, a podcast that asks a simple question of new professionals in the field. What is one thing you've learned you feel will help you as you move forward in your career? I'm your host, Stuart Brown, the developer of studentaffairs.com, one of the most accessed websites by student affairs professionals. On our pages, we have the most cost-effective job posting board, listing hundreds of open student services positions and a wide range of webinars. I would like to thank our sponsor, Alcohol 101 Plus, a cost-free digital alcohol education program developed by responsibility.org. Designed to be used by colleges and universities, the course includes interactive and quick-paced programming covering core alcohol education topics. Through an administrative dashboard, the program contains tools for institutions to easily roster students, track progress, and analyze student metrics. To learn more about Alcohol 101 Plus, visit alcohol101.plus. On today's episode, I am very pleased to have Clark Futch, Assistant Director for Career Services at St. Leo University. Welcome to the program, Clark.
Happy to be here.
So, Clark, what is your one thing?
The most important thing to me in my career so far has been mentorship, finding someone in every stage of my life to push me and make me better. Not only that, but I also see in the future where I'll be able to be a mentor to others. And I think that's how higher education continue to hold on to some of those things that we've been trying to keep in our industry for a long time.
Would you like to elaborate on that? And if you have a story behind why you feel mentorship is your one thing?
I think the story starts with actually my neighbor. And I think most people at some point in their life has had a mentor, maybe in high school, college, and their job now, maybe unofficially, maybe officially. And my mentor, his name is Jason, and he has nothing to do with any of my career. Yeah, he was not in higher education. He didn't go to Florida. He didn't follow a lot of the same things I did. He wasn't in a fraternity. He didn't travel a lot. He was in a very different space. But one thing he did do is every time we met, he constantly challenged me. And I remember I would come home whenever I would get the chance from UF, and I would talk to him about what I was focusing on, and he would challenge me in what I was thinking. I thought that was the most impactful thing. And over the years, for the past 10 years now, every time that we meet, he constantly asks me those questions, those kind of hard questions that, is this really something that you want to continue to do? Are you doing the right thing? And he always challenges me in that way. And I can't thank him enough for being there and making sure that I'm pushing as hard as I can to be the best person I can be, but also to continue down the path that I need to be. I had an experience on the road where I was working at Stephen F. Austin State University, and this is in Nacogdoches, Texas, interestingly enough. I was working with a chapter there of our fraternity when I was working for our headquarters as a consultant that was very small. They didn't really have much going on, but the group of students that they had there, the young men there, for some reason, really took a liking to the things that I had to say. And so much so that recently one of them reached out to me and let me know that since I had left that position several years ago, he had taken on that role now and what I was doing at the time. And a lot of that had to do based on the things that I had said unknowingly to him at the time that ended up making a huge impact in his life and being a mentor to him when I didn't even know that I was.
I think there are two interesting things that you brought up. One with your neighbor. I think that demonstrates that you don't necessarily have a mentor that you pick out, that sometimes the mentorship comes just out of the blue from places you don't know. And I think it's interesting talking about your neighbor that is bringing up things that maybe a more traditional mentor might not bring up, sort of just the regular student affairs things, showing you the ropes, helping you advance in your career. But here's someone that's coming at it from a different vantage point, but it's just as meaningful as a, again, quote unquote, more traditional mentor.
He pushes not only my job boundaries, but my spiritual boundaries. How I work with others, how I work with my family, how I interact with people around me. And you can kind of have that tertiary level connection with someone like that. That's not necessarily in your profession.
Then the other point that you brought up is you don't always know that suddenly you're a mentor. So with those students that you worked with, from the way you're describing, I don't think you went in there thinking, okay, I'm going to be a mentor to these young men. It's just you're doing your job, whatever interactions, and they sort of responded to that where they felt comfortable reaching out to you, fill that mentor role. So sometimes it's just thrust upon us.
I remember their advisor had contacted me after the last visit I had made there, and he had spoken extremely highly of me at the time and said that the group really enjoyed me, but I had since forgotten about it. And only 2 months ago did this individual, he reached out to me and let me know that everything he had done up to this point and the job that he had taken was because of me. And you just don't know when things like that are going to happen.
So I'm going to actually end our discussion about mentorship now, because I've spoken to other people for this podcast and they've talked more the traditional route. So I don't really want to pursue that line of inquiry because we'll leave that for a different episode. I think you really have brought out two different points of mentorship, which is important for new professionals to think about. It could be that next door neighbor, that person down the street or at your gym, wherever. And also that we have to be, I guess, aware of our actions because we might be turning into a mentor without really knowing it. So in our interactions with students and maybe colleagues that are younger than you, just to be aware of what we're saying and doing because you never know. Clark, I want to thank you for being on the program today. I think, like I said, these are very important points of being a mentor and different things than what most people would think about. You've been listening to the Student Affairs One Thing New Professional, a podcast that asks a simple question of new professionals in the field. What is one thing you've learned you feel will help you as you move forward in your career? My guest today has been Clark Futch, Assistant Director for Career Services at St. Leo University. I'm your host, Stuart Brown, the developer of studentaffairs.com, one of the most accessed websites by student affairs professionals. I hope you will join us next time for another episode of the Student Affairs One Thing New Professional.